Nothing is ever black or white, and we need to have a nuanced conversation when it comes to human relationships and how every human relationship comes down to the pursuit and gain of power and privilege. Do people not see others as prey or authority? They absolutely do. The terminologies, however, can be very triggering for a lot of people, which creates a lot of resistance in accepting. So let's look for other ways of understanding this. When you want to understand how people view you, you want to look at how they treat you from the spectrum of carelessness. Carelessness at the extreme to careful to the extreme. When you fall into the prey spectrum, people will be careless towards you. That means you can pay for a 5-star experience, but because of where you fall into in the prey to authority spectrum, you get a 3-star experience. Here are two examples. You go to a Michelin restaurant only to have bad service and the food was horrible, nothing like what you read in the reviews. You go to an expensive massage spa only to be trauma dumped on by the masseuse. Forget about the relaxing, high value experience that you were expecting. Most people think that, okay, so these are business experiences, but personal relationships don't have this kind of prey authority dynamic, nor it is about war at all. They're just some silly little games. Well, let's look at it in the friendship spectrum. Let's say you're traveling and you're staying with a friend. You're very grateful that your friend has offered to kindly host you and maybe even have a meal ready for you. That was very, very thoughtful. Except what you didn't see, what you don't see, is how she treated somebody else who came to visit and stay with her, who she believes is higher up on the spectrum, where she cannot be careless with that person. Meaning, when she thinks that your standards are low, she'll do the bare minimum and you be grateful. But to somebody else, someone who fits into the patriarchal white supremacist standards better than you, she not only offered a place to stay, but she did a whole damn tour of the city for that person and planned it all out for them. Maybe even picked out excellent restaurants and took them to that place to thank them for stopping by. Now compare those two experiences, but you never get there because most cases you never really get to find out how someone feels about you until you're in a dire situation. You don't get to do the comparison at all until you're put in a scenario where you're very, very vulnerable and you just need that person to show up and they won't. Usually, when you're going through heartbreak, grief, or divorce, any form of loss is when people really find out who their true friends were. The ones that you thought were your besties, who have been sucking up to the patriarchy and associating with the misogynist, you never thought anything of it until you come down to these scenarios. These people aren't simply just programmed to do that. They're seeking power and privilege through proximity. They get more value, more return in the investment of their time and energy when they associate and serve these types of people better with care, whereas they've determined that you are not a great return on investment for their power and privilege. These are not tiny little games. When there are more intense pressure and conflict, these are full-fledged wars. People evaluate you the moment that they see you on the spectrum of how careless can I be with this person? Because let's face it, that's easier. And we always want to do what's easier. We want to do what feels like the shortcut, doing the bare minimum to get the most return on investment. All of these relationships have business calculations behind them. So if somebody is going to minimally invest in you, take note of that. But in order to do that, you need to have much greater standards for yourself. People will keep you at their arm's length just in case they need you. But that is not care. They will do some efforts of care, performative. And if you don't get how this is an insult and signs of disrespect, because you've been starved all your life of any reciprocity, that comes through very quickly. And from the beginning, you would have been labeled as the prey by the people around you. Of course, when there's competition in the workplace, in business, this is much more intense because there are higher stakes than perhaps in the types of relationships that you classify as just play. Power dynamics are everywhere. It is up to you to pay attention to what's going on around you all the time. Because if you do not nip things in the bud, even the type of relationship that you thought was insignificant, or the ones that you thought of as allies, become your fatal weaknesses.